let's talk about pulling film to the outer limits. So this is part 2 to a video that I posted last week where I talked about pulling film to the extreme. In that video, we were looking at Ferannia P30, which is a beautiful black and white 80 speed Italian film, and we were going to pull it down to exposure indexes like 25, 12, 6, 1.6, 0.75, and create a negative using Rodinal 1:100 that is ideal for the hybrid workflow. Now, if you haven't watched that first video, I'll put a link in the description. Please watch it because the techniques and everything that I outlined and demonstrated in that first video are the same in this video. I'm not going to go over everything again, so it's important that you watch the first video first. So when I think about pulling the film to the outer limits, I'm thinking 7, 8, 9, 10 stops. I mean, really pulling a film down to control contrast, highlight, and shadow, and also giving me the ability to work with a really low exposure index. A lot of the cameras that I work with have a fixed f-stop, or if I'm working with a camera like my Leica M3, I might want to shoot at 0.95 or f2 or f1.4 on a bright sunny day. And if I have a really fast film, that's going to be difficult to do because I'm going to run out of shutter speeds. So pulling film is something that I use a lot. As a matter of fact, I pull film more frequently than I push film. Especially for my personal work, I just find that pulling gives me the visual quality that I'm looking for in so much of what I do. So for my test image, I chose the same scene as last week. Now, normally I'd be filming outside today, but we got a foot of snow last night and it's really cold, so I decided to film indoors because I didn't want to freeze to death. I used my M3 with the 50 f2 Summicron, Ferannia P30, and the same Rodinal film. But this week we were going for that outer limits. So instead of pulling down to the very low exposure index numbers, we went way down. The fastest exposure index that I used was 1.6. And I went all the way down in one-stop increments to 0.025, which is a tremendous pull. From box speed, you're literally talking like 8, 9, 10 stops. That's just a massive pull. And the Ferannia P30 did a great job. But one thing that I should mention is that not all films can be pulled this far. As a matter of fact, I would say once you pull more than 3 stops, classic films are really the only films that I feel will pull all that additional away. Modern T-grain films and Delta type films just will not pull as far as your classic films. So in the films that I've tested, the 2 that really pull well is Foma P30 and Ferannia P30. Now, I love Ferannia P30, so that's the one that I did for this test. And once again, we were using Rodinal. But instead of using Rodinal at 1:100 for 5 minutes, as I outlined in the first video, in this test, I did 1:150. So I needed to pull that density back just a little bit. Those low exposure index numbers were going to just build up too much density, and it was absolutely perfect. So everything else is exactly the same as I outlined in the first video. In the first video, if you watch the way that I'm agitating with the tank for 5 minutes, same technique. The only difference is the dilution. So in the first video, we're doing 1:100. So 500 milliliters of water to 5 milliliters of Rodinal. In this video, hello Canvas. In this video, we were going for 1:150. So that was 3 milliliters of Rodinal to 500 mils of water. Once again, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, 20 degrees Celsius for 5 minutes using the agitation technique that I outlined. And it was fantastic. I absolutely could use a 0.025, 0.5, 0.2, 0.75, 1.6. I guarantee a 3.2 and a 6 would have also been usable. It was really amazing. So the sample image that I'm going to show you right now, this was at exposure index 0.75. And look at how beautiful it is. I mean, the tonality, the grain structure, everything just looks gorgeous. There's the shadows are fully open. The bright snow is fully controlled. The sharpness is really good. I mean, I like it so much that I'm going to start using this particular formula of 1:150 for a lot of my pulled film where I'm on really bright sunny days, like in the snow or on a beach, where I'm really looking for that maximum contrast control. But as I said, this does not work with all films. And you're going to have to test the films that you have and see if it does work. I'm very confident that most films made today will easily pull 2, 3, 4 stops. And by the way, when I'm referring to pulling these films 2, 3, 4 stops, that's 2, 3, 4 stops in being used in the hybrid workflow. You're going to be scanning or digitizing your film with a digital camera. If you're working in a traditional darkroom, it's a completely different methodology of working. You're working for a particular contrast index, particular densities. The formulas and everything that I've outlined are for the hybrid workflow. Really important. So if you have some Ferannia P30 sitting around and you want to try this, I encourage you, 5 minutes, 1 to 150, and I think you'll be blown away. Foma P30 would also be one that you could use as well and get similar results. Thank you very much for listening. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Now go shoot some film and pet a cat.